Hello everyone, Justin Crumley here with the Cujo Productions channel. Welcome to another edition of Cujo Productions Sports Talk. I'm excited to be doing this. Earlier tonight, the NHL Awards / expansion draft were held today in Las Vegas. Not really going to go over the award ceremony too much. I have nothing major to say about any of the awards given out, except for a few things. One, I do want to say Craig Anderson, when he won an award, I don't remember which one. If you guys haven't heard, his wife was battling cancer throughout the season, and he took time off to be with her. And you know, when he got up on stage and gave that speech, it was very heartwarming. It was so great to hear. And it's great to see when athletes are just humble like that. It reminds us that they're human. Also, the Brian Bickle story. He was diagnosed with MS earlier this year and wasn't even sure if he'd be able to come back. And his story was amazing. His wife joined him on stage for an award, and it was really heartwarming to see that. So again, I almost cried with that one. I'm not gonna lie to you. But another thing, overall, the award show was okay. Nothing, you know. I do want to say some of the comedy skits that they did, some of them were okay. Like, I enjoyed the penguin mascot trying to be an extra in like another Magic Mike movie. That was pretty funny. But then there was one where like the Vegas Golden Knights have like it shows like the inside of their boardroom. And I think it was Penn and Teller where they're. That wasn't so funny. That was kind of cringeworthy. Also, there was a really funny moment during the draft where I think it was the head coach of the Knights, Golden Knights, and the GM. They went to pick from the Detroit Red Wings, and they accidentally skipped over and went to Dallas, and then they had to go back into Detroit. So it was really funny, but at the same time, I was like, "Really, dude? You forgot the Red Wings? What the fuck, man?" So anyway, guys, let's talk about the expansion draft. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the Vegas Golden Knights. I want to talk about their logo, and I want to talk about their jerseys. Because if you guys don't know, I'm a graphic designer, so I like to talk about artwork, and this definitely qualifies. So let's get on with it. Let's start with the Vegas Golden Knight logo. So yeah, I really like this logo. I love how the Knights helmet forms a V for Vegas. That's really creative. The color scheme's really good. The helmet looks nice. Not really a whole lot to say. It's a good logo. I like it. Let's talk about the jerseys. Okay, so, yeah, this is where I'm going to sound a little negative. I don't hate these designs. I don't even dislike them. I do like them. I do have a major complaint about them, though. These jerseys look a little too similar to the NHL All-Star Game jerseys from a couple years ago. You guys remember the one where John Scott was like so big and so popular? So yeah, that's really my only complaint. I like the colors. I'm not sure why there's red. What's with the red line there? I don't quite understand that. I think gold and that cobalt silver, whatever you want to call it, I think that's just good enough. I also like on the gold rim on the sleeve. It has like a little bit of some design work in there that's really neat. It's just it's a good looking jersey. Not my favorite, but not bad. Pretty good. Like I said, my only complaint is they look a little too similar to the NHL All-Star Game jerseys from a couple years back. But other than that, oh, and the red stripe on the sleeve, I don't quite care for, but whatever, just my opinion. Overall, these are pretty good. So let's move on to the Vegas Golden Knights roster, the expansion draft itself. So yes, there it is. That's the whole draft. There were some trades which mostly consisted of draft picks. A few notable names was Nikita Kucherov from Tampa Bay. Riley Smith was also part of a trade. And who else? David Clarkson, I think, got traded as well to Vegas. So some trades, some notable names. I know I'm leaving a few out, but I just want to mainly talk about the draft. Now, before we talk about the roster, I want to talk about the expansion draft itself. To be quite honest with you, I had no idea how this was going to be executed going in, and seeing it, I've seen a few people saying that it's a little unfair. It gives Vegas a little too much power, and I can definitely see their point. I think it is a little like Vegas is definitely holding all the cards here, no pun intended. Well, maybe a little. Yeah, I definitely see their point, and to an extent I do agree. However, I think every NHL team was given a fair chance to protect certain players. Also, Vegas could not take certain players if they weren't like 2-year pros, which was my concern because as a Red Wings fan, I really didn't want to see guys like Dylan Larkin or Anthony Mantha or Andreas Athanasiou get drafted. I didn't want to see any of that go because those are to me that's the future. Also Nick Jensen, I didn't want to see him get traded. Thankfully he got protected. So there were some rules that protected a lot of teams, but I definitely do see some people's point with Vegas holding all the cards. But anyway, let's talk about this roster. I really like this roster for the Vegas Golden Knights. I think this is a good mix of some very young talent. They also picked up a few veterans. Some names that stick out to me. Teemu Pulkkinen, I point him out because he was a part of the Red Wings. The guy was a big scorer in Grand Rapids. I was really excited when he got called up to Detroit. Unfortunately, he didn't pan out. He got designated for assignment, or put on waivers. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of MLB. He got put on waivers, got claimed, I want to say by Minnesota, and I guess they put him on waivers, and somehow, some way, he ended up with the Coyotes. That was their first pick in the draft. The expansion draft was Teemu Pulkkinen. The guy has potential. I think he'll work out just fine. Another name that sticks out to me is Tomas Nosek. For obvious reasons, I'm a Red Wings fan. So Nosek, when I heard that's who they were taking, I was kind of relieved. Not that I have anything against Nosek. I don't really know a whole lot about him. I know he's 24 and he's got potential. He's played a little bit in the NHL, but I haven't really seen a whole lot of him, so I don't have too much to say. But I know the Red Wings farm system, the Griffins are very rich in talent. They did just win the Calder Cup, I think, sometime last week, so that was really cool to see for Red Wings fans. I'm really hoping that's a glimpse into what the future is, so we can get back on track, maybe start building a new playoff streak. So Thomas Nosek. The reason I want to point out that, though, is also because Peter Mrazek wasn't protected, and people thought that there's a chance he could have gotten drafted. And I wouldn't have been surprised. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I just realized I made a mistake. Teemu Pulkkinen was not the first pick in the draft. I think it was Calvin Pickard from Colorado, the goalie. My apologies. I screwed that up. It was Calvin Pickard. I'll get to him in a second. I want to talk about the forwards first. So just wanted to point that out. I did make a mistake and I just corrected it. So there we go. I'm gonna try my best not to do that again. So anyway, back to the whole Mrazek thing. I was kind of surprised that they protected Jimmy Howard over Mrazek. Now, nothing against Howard. I've been a fan of his for a few years. I'm not a huge advocate for him, but the guy has been injury prone over the last few years. He's getting up there in age. He's got a big contract on him. I just thought and a lot of projections had Vegas taking Jimmy Howard. So I thought the Red Wings would have protected Mrazek, but they didn't. Irregardless, Thomas Nosek got drafted. So yeah, another player that sticks out to me on the forwards is James Neal from Nashville. This guy was an offensive powerhouse, and he was actually acquired from the Penguins by the Predators, and he was a standout. He was a big part of the reason the Predators were in the Stanley Cup Finals this year, so kind of surprising that Nashville didn't protect him, but I didn't look at Nashville's protected players, so I really can't say a whole lot other than that. Over on the defensive side of things, the first name that sticks out to me is Jason Garrison from the Tampa Bay Lightning. I saw some people projecting Tyler Johnson to be traded. I'm not sure if he was protected or not, but nonetheless, he didn't get traded. I also mentioned that Nikita Kucherov was traded to the Golden Knights as well, so there's that. But Jason Garrison was a very well-rounded defenseman. He could score. Not too sure about his defensive skills, but he was definitely an offensive defenseman, a good asset for the Golden Knights. So yeah, first name that sticks out to me on the defensive side. Also, Mark Mathot, is another name. If you guys don't remember Mark Mathot, he was the guy that had like half of his finger hacked off by Sidney Crosby. Mark Mathot is a veteran. He's also very big-bodied, very aggressive. He makes a lot of hits. A very physical player, and definitely something the Golden Knights are going to want on the blue line. They were also talking about him being their first captain. So, yeah, there's that. It's definitely possible. We'll have to see how that plays out. Also sticking out to me is Trevor Van Riemsdyk from Chicago. I don't know a whole lot about him. I think he was an asset for the Blackhawks. How did I forget the Blackhawks? So it'll be that was a good pick by Vegas. Not much else to say about the defensive side of things. I think they did a pretty good job. And finally, the goaltenders. I corrected myself by when I said Timu was the first pick. He actually was not. It was Calvin Pickard from the Colorado Avalanche, and he is a goaltender. I was actually quite surprised about that. I thought I wasn't really sure what kind of goalie they were going to take. I saw some projections from the backup in New York behind the Rangers, behind Henrik Lundqvist was a possibility. So, kind of, I don't know a whole lot about Pickard either. And so, yeah, and then there's J.F. Berube. I think I'm mispronouncing that. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that name. He was a goalie for the New York Islanders. I didn't expect this to be the last pick for goaltenders for Vegas, for obvious reasons. So we'll get to that in a second. Again, not much for me to say. I don't know a whole lot about this guy, but yeah, depth, good to have it. And finally, probably the name that sticks out the most, at least to me, Marc-Andre Fleury, a 3-time Stanley Cup champion goaltender for the Pittsburgh Penguins. This was all but guaranteed. I believe he waived his no-trade clause, or he did one of the two. And then from that point on, he went unprotected. Murray became the protected goalie for Vegas. So everyone started saying Marc-Andre Fleury is going to get taken by the Golden Knights. It'll be his second team that he played for in the NHL. Let's face it, this guy's going to be the starting goaltender, and this is definitely a great pick for the Golden Knights. This guy, Fleury is a fantastic goalie. He's been in Pittsburgh for his whole career. He's a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, and yeah, you could say that he did split time with Murray in this past playoffs. But I think Fleury still has something to offer, and especially to a new team like Vegas, this is a great pick. I don't see how anyone can really knock this. I think this was the best case scenario as far as goaltenders go for Vegas. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about the roster. So what are some of the names that stick out to you guys? The player that was drafted from your favorite team. What do you think of that? What's your opinion on your favorite team's player that was drafted? Do you think the Vegas Golden Knights did a good job drafting that player? Did you think the Vegas Golden Knights did a good job drafting at all? Let me know everything, all your thoughts, your opinions in the comment section below. I would love to hear everyone's intake on it. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I want to give a special shout out to Albert Liu, who has been very active on my Facebook page. He's always messaging me. We always talking hockey and Red Wings, and it's so cool to have that, to have someone that watches my videos. I really appreciate it, Albert. Just wanted to give back to you in a certain way. So yeah, thank you so much, Albert. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who watches this video. If you'd like to check out my Facebook page, link is down in the description below. My Twitter account is there. If you want to buy some of my merchandise, some of my designs on like t-shirts or whatever, my Redbubble account is in the description below as well. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're not having a great day, I hope it gets better. Have a great day. I did that backwards. I'm sorry. Until next time, I'm Justin Crumley, and this is Kucherov Productions, signing out.